All right, best hour of their day here, and we have a threesome going on today. Little Cassidy on the call with us. Well, Cassidy and Fern are together. I'm quarantined in Boulder. Colorado actually shut down. Are you guys shut down yet? Like Virginia, is the state shut down?
Yeah, so they shut down all non-essential businesses on Monday.
Is CrossFit Rife essential? Were they like, hey, this is essential?
This is about as fucking essential as it gets here, dude.
Isn't it strange that they're considering gyms non-essential, but like stores that sell alcohol essential?
I mean, they're not wrong.
Yeah, they're not wrong. I'm sure dispensaries are open in Boulder, are they not?
You know, I stocked up weeks ago, so I don't know. But it crossed my mind. I did a quick inventory because Roz said the shutdown ends April 14th. So I kind of went into my little drawer and I was like, all right, we can make it, but it'll be tight. I'm gonna get there's gonna be
puff give.
I was
It'd be great if we find out that this is a cure-all for Corona.
I'm gonna live forever.
That's right. I said to Roz, there's gonna be a couple of sketchy days in here where we probably fight a lot. But
speaking of fighting a lot, I think it's worth noting that we had a spat this morning, and I wanted to know if you're over it.
Oh yeah, I think I didn't say this to anybody other than the fact that I thought it is. I'm gonna edit this part out when it goes live, but I was gonna say I appreciate you as a partner because we can really like be mad, but neither of us ever take it personally.
Well, it's just because it's really hard for me to take you personally as just a person in general, but
I wasn't even mad. I was just like,
you were definitely throwing some shade. You were for sure annoyed.
I was annoyed more so in the fact that like, how can this guy be so dumb? Like that. So it was like you're either dumb or you just don't listen to me.
B for sure. Yeah, definitely B.
And then I was just like, but then I was over it. It's just like I wasn't gonna get mad. I was fucking Fern. Anyway, I'm sure Cassidy, you're very familiar with that.
A little bit, but not to the same extent because we work well together.
We should change the topic of today's show to more about like the airing of the grievances, everything you and I don't like about Fern.
How long is this going to be?
As long as we need it to be. As long as we need it to be. Extended cut. This is going to have a director's cut on the back end of it.
This podcast can't end until somebody is pinned. No, what we were really going to talk about, I think it's an opportune time to talk about using Zoom for virtual classes. Every box these days is deciding, hey, we need to do something to keep our members happy, like us here in Boulder. There's kind of I don't know, would you call it a light at the end of the tunnel? I said that to Roz this morning. I was like, hey, at least we know when this is ending now. But I guess come the 14th, they can make any changes they want, right?
I don't think anybody knows that. I think there's a potential end to it. We do know it has to end at some point. Like this just cannot go on forever. Like from a financial standpoint only, like just separate that from there's a public health crisis. You have to balance those two, right? So it's definitely going to end, but nobody knows the problem is nobody knows what it looks like when it ends. Our gym's going to have all of their members come back. Are people going to just be freaked out to even go to the gym? Are people going to have this revelation that they need to be healthy and all of a sudden there's a massive influx of people to the gym? Like we just don't know,
So, you guys shut down the other day. We recorded our podcast and then maybe an hour later you were like, hey, we had to shut down. Did you immediately make the transition to Zoom? I think you were already doing a little bit on Zoom.
We hadn't really done anything on there, but that protocol had already been teed up. So like we started the next day. So it was basically, we started Zoom classes the next day and we spent Tuesday, right?
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday was super hectic because it was come get all of our shit and we were running classes at the same time. So,
by the way, don't you wish instead of starting this podcast, we started Zoom?
Yeah, we would have some money in our pockets.
Just like it. What do you think caused the shift from Skype to Zoom?
Personally, it's just way easier. Skype I have always found to be a real pain in the ass.
Yeah, you and I had the call with Austin and James the other day on Skype.
It was a nightmare.
I got booted off. My headphones weren't working. Like Zoom came in and took Skype to the next level and really left them in the dust. So let's talk about it. Whatever you're using, but let's focus primarily on Zoom since you and I are familiar with it. Cassidy's familiar with it. So imagine a box has never used it. What are some of the things we have to tell them to begin with?
I mean, I'll let you go because just so he's like newer, so we'll probably have a little bit fresher perspective on that than we've been using it forever. So
well, I mean, first of all, I mean, make your account. Most likely, if you're a box, you have to upgrade it to like the $15 a month ones.
You can do 40 minutes with 100 people for free.
Okay, so that's something interesting. Now, you and I were on a call yesterday with the Dirty South crew, and right at 40 minutes, it just disconnected. I thought, and I know neither of us were the host, but typically there's a little button that allows you to extend it for 10 minutes, correct?
No, it just gives a timer. It's just like you're going to get cut off it because I've done that on some other ones. So like the one we use for the podcast, we pay for that. But for my personal one, I have no need to pay for it, so I don't. And I've been booted off on a couple of times, and there's no way to extend it.
I thought just Jenny messed up.
I mean, it's very possible, but I know that's not how it works.
So going back to Cassidy, we said, like Fern is saying, you could even do it for free. Personally, I'd suggest pay the $15. You'd never have to worry about time. But what else would you say, Cassidy?
I mean, it's pretty easy to use. The only thing I would actually do as the gym owner is do a how-to video. I mean, it's never a bad idea just to really break it down so there's absolutely zero confusion on any of this stuff. I mean, but it's a pretty straightforward program. You download the app, you create your account, you create your account, you send out your link of who's going on, and then people just hop in as soon as you open up the channel or the room, however you want to call it.
So is CrossFit Rife just giving out the CrossFit Rife username to all the coaches?
For the Zoom call?
So yeah, so assuming, Fern leads one, you leads one, Jess leads one, another coach leads one, do you all log in with the same credentials?
We've been doing everything through Fern's laptop, so we haven't needed to do that. But if that was the case, then yeah, we would just switch the login. Like he would just send out his credentials to whoever's going to be running the class. And the only people who are in the gym are myself, him, and another coach, because we're the only three that are right now creating all this stuff. And like we'll hopefully be able to get maybe one or two people throughout the week to come in and film with us just to get them out of the house and get some different faces on it. But yeah, whoever is running it, just take the credentials and create the room. We've done it by shooting out a mass gym text and an email, but we're trying to find a little bit better way to do it so that we're not sending out 10 emails a day and a bunch of different texts to everybody just saying, hey, hop on the call, or if they've already been on it, or maybe they don't even care, so we're not just bombarding them with spam more or less.
Explain to people, and mostly for me, because I don't know why, but what's the difference between just having your personal meeting room and always using that versus setting up specific topics or meetings? So I know we do that for our Best Hour mentor group. We have our personal room, but then every different call has their own one. But does it really matter?
No, when you use your because like I think you can just create a meeting like without using your personal one that has like a different number. So that's the only hang up, right? Is if you're using this one is that we're running our Zoom classes, like that number doesn't change. Like when I call into this one, it's always the same number. So otherwise you're going to need to you're going to generate a new invite each time, the way I understand it. Now, I could be completely wrong on that, but like I know I've had Zoom calls with the same person on numerous occasions, and every time it's a different number.
Yeah, I think part of it might be it's almost like your personal room is like your phone number. And that's like you're having direct calls all the time. You're using it to log in or just having a quick chat. But then if you're going to have something like, hey, any CrossFit Rife class, even it doesn't matter if it's 6 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, is going to use this link.
Yeah. I think that's an accurate description.
So let's talk about it. You get your Zoom set up. You send out the link, like Cassidy said, to all your members, maybe a daily email reminder, here are the class times, or are you guys still putting the workout somewhere for them to see, or is it you show up and you find out?
It's still getting posted to Wodify.
So they know.
We posted on we do things a little bit different. We post to Wodify at I think 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. Gets automatically posted every night for the following day, and then we also I'm pretty sure you're following the Rife Instagram, but we post the workout with like a quick coach description every day, and we're still doing both those same things. And then the biggest difference is how we're actually running the class, and we're breaking down, if you don't have this equipment, do this instead. This is how you can modify it, and we're just giving scales on scales on scales on scales on scales for everything.
So let's talk about that. We kind of explained how to set up. Before I do that, I keep thinking of more questions about the setup. Do you have your settings set so everyone that gets on is muted?
No, it's not automatically set, but that is something people should do. So they should come on default muted.
Yeah, and you can set that on the back end. You can have the chat set. Do you have it set so they can join the meeting before the coach arrives, or do they have to wait for you?
I think it's set right now for, they have to wait for us, but we've been just setting the computer up first thing before we even start setting up equipment or anything. So it gives them, 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes, depending on how soon we set it up for them to actually get in. We can just have small talk with them while we're setting things up if they want to talk to us.
No, I think that's a good idea. That's what I was thinking. If I were running this, I'd probably leave it so as soon as they join, they're interacting, and it's almost like the 15 minutes before class. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, we don't have to allow them in. Like when they join, they're just automatically in. There are settings where, like, if you join, you have to wait for me to say you can come into the meeting.
That's exactly what I meant.
Like for this meeting, like I don't know why, but I have to wait for you to let me in this meeting, like as if you're going to talk to, as if anybody else would talk to you.
Because I'm the boss. I'm the boss, and I let you do things when I feel that you've earned it, and you've.
What are you the boss of?
I'm the boss of me, Fern. I'm the boss of me.
I think Roz would beg to differ.
I was going to say, and barely. So let's talk specifics. What's today's workout, Cassidy?
It's 8 minutes of 10 dips and 10 sumo deadlift high pulls.
Okay, so great example. Most people at home don't have a set of rings and probably don't have a barbell with bumpers. So let's talk about it. You put it up as 8 minutes of 10 and 10, and then right on the Wodify or on the Instagram post, is there any scaling or modification options there, or is it just show up and we'll explain?
Right now it's been more of the show up, we'll explain, or we'll post it, but we're getting to where we're posting in the comments as well, substitutions for equipment and how you can scale it up or scale it down. So we've kind of switched from, because how we normally write our stuff, as you know, we do like the level 1, level 2, level 3 stuff. It's more or less just going to 2. One of them is like with the equipment, one of them's without the equipment, and then on top of that, we're also doing, like for sumo deadlift high pull example, if you have a barbell, use a barbell. You have a dumbbell, you would use a dumbbell or a kettlebell or a backpack or suitcases or your child or whatever. We're just giving 5 or 6 different examples to let people know, like, we're going to have to get creative over the next month. Especially, we've loaned out everything just about. Like, it's a pretty empty gym now. We have 3
legit less than 100 pounds of bumpers left, and
I think one
barbell.
You can still max out then, Fern, so that's good.
Yeah, it's good. I get a 5 rep max in there.
So, and then it looks like no one took home a ski erg or ropes. That's about it.
No. So we've given away half the ski ergs. We just have to deliver those, some of the other ones today. So
people
we've been
delivering ski ergs home.
I gave away everything, bro. Like it doesn't. This was something that I talked about, I think yesterday on an Instagram story or something like that. But people who are not giving that stuff away, like, I just don't understand it. Like, you can't use it. Like there's no reason to keep it. We've charged people to take that stuff because it's high value.
Just the cardio stuff.
Yeah, just the cardio stuff. Everything else we just gave it away. So but like people can't transport it. So Cassidy delivered.
I delivered 3 things this morning. I delivered a rower, a ski erg, and a bike this morning.
Yeah, and then I delivered 3 bikes today.
Do you have a pickup truck, Cassidy?
I do.
Yeah.
Real men drive pickup trucks, not Subarus, Ackerman.
I'm thinking about getting a pickup truck one day when I become a man.
Strapped to the roof of my Civic.
You'll probably just get one. You'll probably get like I could see you like not wanting to get like a full pickup truck, so you would buy like an old El Camino or something like that.
You'd probably buy like that Jeep truck.
The Jeep
That's
truck.
Exactly what I would have bought, Cassidy.
Yeah, not
That's
shocked
exactly
at all
it.
whatsoever. Yeah,
it's small, but it can still do a little bit of something. And
that's me. You just described me.
Yeah. Moderately
small,
useful.
But could do a little bit of something.
Moderately useful.
Okay, so let's go back to the class, Cassidy. 8 minutes, dips and sumo deadlift high pull.
Yep.
I'm seeing a ton of people posting about sandbags and backpacks. Great way to get weight. If you have like a GoRuck, what would you load it up with?
Something that's going to be annoying. Like, I mean, obviously something that's not going to destroy your stuff. But like we've been leaving a lot. We haven't been posting any weights. So we normally post like the level 1, 2, 3, whatever the weights might be. We've just been leaving it blank. So it's just a movement rather than a weight. And then like during our descriptions, we're talking about, hey, the stimulus is this. You know, we're looking to get this many rounds. That means that the bar, the weight for the summit of the pipe pole, for example, should be something that you can do 10 reps, and it might get a little bit annoying, but it's not something that you have to second guess. The push-ups, on the other hand, or the dips or whatever else, that's where we're probably gonna have to make our money and have to break that one up. So we've been giving more guidelines of do the movement, worry about the weight and all that later. Because I mean, really, if how we loaned everything out, some people were able to take home 10, some people took home 45. So there's some people who only have 135 to do sumo to the pipe poles with. So we're more or less just harping on the stimulus of the workout rather than the weights and the movement itself.
And of course, you can say, hey, use 135 and do less reps, or
right.
maybe change it to a deadlift or empty bar, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but my question is literally, what would you load the bag up with out of your house?
I mean, we're in a beach town, so we can get sand pretty easily here. I mean, another thing that you can fill it up with is, I mean, even just t-shirts and towels. I mean, you can pack those in pretty tight to where you can get some weight on it without being a whole lot of stuff. Honestly, whatever you can find, if you can get dirt or sand or
canned food, weird stuff like that.
I would just fill it with whatever you can. I think the safest option to not destroy your stuff would probably be to, like, cans would be a great one. Wrap it in a t-shirt, put it in there, just so, like, as they're clanging, you're not worrying about stuff breaking.
Water bottles.
But finish your workout, you got beans all over your bag.
Yeah.
So, and you can easily check the weight, right? Assuming you have a scale, you can throw it right on the scale. What are some of the options you're using for the dips? You kind of alluded to push-ups, but what else?
We went over, so we said if you have rings, use rings. If you have straight bar, use a straight bar. If you have 2 chairs you can put together, you have dips there, the corner of your counter, like where your counter like intersects, you know, the edge of your couch. Because we've been doing, rather than like the dip this way, more of like the seated on the end of the bench going down, like that kind of version, kind of like you'd see more in a, you know, just like on a bench dip.
Yeah, like you would see it like a Division I basketball practice bench dips.
And then obviously we've gone to push-ups.
What kind of basketball practice did you go to?
I gotta throw in the Division I reference every episode. It's not always easy.
I mean, I appreciate it.
Is that a shot at me for being a D3 athlete?
So now 8 minutes. What were the reps of those 2 movements again?
10 and 10.
10 and 10. So what were some of the options? I don't know. Did you coach it as well, Fern, or just Cassidy today?
I coached this morning, and then either him or one of the other coaches will coach it this afternoon.
So what are some of the options you used, or you might use, Cassidy? Again, say someone has no equipment and they're going to do, you know, the bag of the sumo deadlift high pull, or just push-ups. Would you still keep it at 10 and 10? Or would you tell them to go more reps, less reps?
I would just tell them to keep it at 10 and 10 and just move. So something to take into account here is, like, all the stuff that we normally care about in the gym doesn't matter anymore. Loads, all of that stuff. Like, our sole purpose is to get people to move. So all that stuff is like, hey, I don't care honestly what you do or what you use. You just need to move for 8 minutes to continue this habit so that you can, like, stay on track. Because people will figure it out, and you don't want to put any barriers on there. This is the time to, like, to make the barriers so painfully low that it is almost laughable. So, like, it doesn't matter, you know, and that's what we've told everybody. I'm like, use whatever you want, like, change it to anything you want at this point. Like, it literally does not matter. Just do something for 8 minutes.
I agree. I mean, I've just been working out with a handful of dumbbells and kettlebells and being creative, and I'm not trying to make a joke here, but I looked in the mirror. I was like, wow, my body's actually reacting pretty well. I think there's something to be said about low stress training, right? Making this, your body's like, something is different. I'm personally, because I'm doing it mostly on my own, just kind of taking it easy and doing like 20-minute workouts where I'm not stressed about being done, you know, rounds for time or anything. And it's going quite well.
Did Mark Bell talk about that the other day on the podcast? I was listening to this somewhere where somebody was talking about, you should, if you should basically leave the gym feeling like you
Yeah.
could and should do something else.
That was on Mark Bell's podcast, and it was a great tip. It's like, and he wasn't knocking CrossFit by any means. He was more talking about powerlifting, but it's that principle of in CrossFit, we go till, like Nicole Carroll says, we die for points. And his statement was, you should always leave the gym wanting to do a little more.
No, I didn't take that as a knock on CrossFit
at all.
I
know.
thought,
You didn't.
I think he was talking about CrossFit. I think a lot more CrossFitters would be well served by maybe doing a little bit less and not necessarily going hard in the paint every single day. Like, you should feel good after training, not devastated.
So, yeah, and that's basically what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm kind of checking out what people are doing, what people are throwing up online, finding bits and pieces that I like, that look. I think that's what it should be doing. Like, hey, I actually want to do that workout versus like, I got to do this workout. Did one outdoors yesterday, and just I'm sore today, and I think it's great. But let's dive deeper now into the coaching on Zoom. What are some of the challenges you were not expecting?
I'll let you go first.
Say that one more time. The challenges we're expecting when doing the coaching?
Yeah, I mean, you might think, okay, we're on Zoom. I got the gallery view going, which is something we should talk about. Like, hit the gallery view so you can see everybody. But then, how is it different than a standard class? And then what is the challenge in that?
The biggest thing is, so with our Zoom classes, I don't think we've only had one person actually turn their screen on so we can actually see them as we're actually going through this. Everybody else, they kind of just watch. So what we're kind of doing now is we're abbreviating everything. So instead of going through a longer warm-up, we're giving them suggestions of things they should do on their own. Or like we'll add some extra things to it. So like Fern had me do a Jefferson curl this morning, just kind of like a back extension on the GHD. So we showed how to do that properly, what we're actually looking to see. Same thing, like, hey, other things we want to do, we want to work on the posterior. So we're going to do like Frankensteins or inchworms or whatever other movement. We're telling them what they should be doing as we're actually going through the movement. We're putting more emphasis on watching good execution of the movement. So like, hey, this is what we want to see. This is what we tend to see. So like, we're showing how it should look properly, and then we're showing what we typically see in classes or what the faults might be. Sumo deadlift high pull specifically, like early pulls, early returns, or improper returns. So we're showing, hey, this is what it should be looking like. This is what it sees like when we're going too fast or we get tired. So we want to put more emphasis on this. And so we're putting a lot more teaching good movement and quickly highlighting where it can go wrong and what we want to do instead. And then we're doing a lot more on, again, like execution. Hey, he's driving through the heels. The hips extending, the arms are staying long. On the way down, he's letting gravity do the work. On the way down, the arms extend. Then he returns back to the ground. And then also the different variants. So I worked out for 4 minutes this morning and he coached me through it. And so like we did, one version would be like the RX. So sumo deadlift high pull and on a barbell and bar dips. And then the next round I did it with a kettlebell and box dips. And then the next round I did it with a dumbbell and I did it with push-ups. The next round I went back to a barbell and like the box. So I'm showing all the different ways you can put this together. Like you can mix and match however you have to do it. It's not like you have to do it with the rings. We're showing it in person of these are ways you can get creative doing it.
That's, I think, is important, so I guess younger people probably won't remember this. Jay, I know you will, but if you go back to some of like the old, you remember the Beachbody videos, and like there's just they were on Saturday mornings. It would just be a shot with like somebody teaching exercise out on the beach with like this crew of people behind them,
the curly hair and the blue.
Yeah. So stuff like that. This is a time actually, like there's some good production value by just going back and looking at that and thinking about what does this look like when I give it, right? So I look at it a little bit differently, where I think there's a lot of, and neither one of these is right or wrong. It's just a different way to look at it. A lot of people are like, get these people in here. I'm kind of looking at it from a little bit different lens, from a standpoint of like production value. If they went back and watched this and they weren't in the class, would they learn something from it? That's, like, I think you want both, right? So I'm not erring on the side of either one of those. I'm not saying participation is not important. Like, you absolutely need to try to get people and pull them in there. But so like we have not run, I think maybe one or two of the ones we've done so far where we've had the coach actually do the full thing. Like Cassidy said, she's like, hey, we're going to give you the information and give you as many different variations so that you can see this, interact, get some questions in there if at all possible, and then just be done with it, and then move on from there. So I think there's And one thing I was thinking about too, which we need to do a better job of is, and going back to those videos that I was talking about, if you're doing this, you should be kind of repeating what the workout is throughout the video. Because like if somebody's watching it later and you're going through all of this stuff, like every once in a while, you should just say the workout again. And guys, remember, it's 8 minutes of 10 Sumanov tie pulls and 10 dips or whatever it is, just as a reminder, so that anybody who picks it up, almost it doesn't matter when they watch the video, at what point in the duration they watch the video, they could figure out what the workout is pretty quickly.
The other thing we're doing a whole lot of is as they're working out, we're kind of going with what their pace is. So we're saying like, hey, it's an 8-minute workout. We're going to move for 4 minutes. And we kind of already touched on the stimulus. Hey, we're looking for 6 to 10 rounds or whatever it might be. And we'll be like, hey, he's a minute in and he's finished round 1. Or like, hey, he's 3.5 minutes in and he's starting round 4. Kind of to give people a heads up of, this is about how fast you should be moving. Like if we're looking to finish 6 to 10 rounds and somebody starts off at their home and they're not really sure how to do it, and they just blast through the first round and they're just dying for the next 8 minutes or the 6 minutes or whatever, they clearly missed the mark on what the stimulus is. So we're touching points on, like he's taking his time returning the barbell down. He's breathing when he's at this point. His transitions aren't that fast. Oh, he's breaking the dips before he probably needed to in order to not go to failure. And we're kind of just giving a lot of strategic standpoints from it too, since we can't actually see him in person, or since we don't have him in here to be able to throttle him back or throttle him up. We're kind of showing them in action, or as it's going on, hey, this stuff, they're speeding up, they're slowing down because they're starting to break down, or improper return or whatever it might be. And so we're kind of giving people an extra dive into that of how they should actually be performing it, since we're not there to actually help them with it.
Well, when you say is someone actually doing the workout in front of the coach?
So how we've been doing them since Tuesday is we have somebody coach and we have a mover. So
Gotcha.
This morning, Fern coached and I was the mover. So I demoed it. I demoed each movement, all the different variations of it, and then I worked out for 4 minutes. And so I did half the workout, and then as I was working out, Fern was also coaching me on it. He was highlighting things that were going well, highlighting things that may go wrong to where you might want to slow it down and recorrect. He was showing what my speed was, how much I was getting done, to show like if he's holding the same pace, let's say for another 4 minutes, he's hitting right in that mark where we want to be at, somewhere in there. So if you kind of follow the pace I went at, which wasn't an incredibly fast pace, like, hey, you're going to be right where you should be for this workout. So that way, when people go back and watch it, because I don't imagine there's a lot of people, maybe there are, following along as they're watching IGTV, following along at home on their own. A lot of these are being put back to be able to be watched throughout the day, or days ahead or days behind, or whatever it might be. So they can still catch up like they're in the class and still be behind.
Did somebody actually borrow a GHD?
Not yet.
No. I'll deliver
you
one if they
mentioned
want it.
GHD earlier, and I was like, I'd be afraid someone's going to just get rhabdo going home and just doing a billion GHD sit-ups.
Something I think that should be considered. So everybody's really tunnel vision right now. It's like, we got to do these virtual classes. We got to do all this stuff. If you zoom out a little bit, there's a lot of things you get done in this month that can be evergreen that you can repurpose for later, by the way.
Really good point.
I think if people are just slapping Zoom on this stuff, you've squandered an opportunity to create content that you can either put in an ebook, or you can run a YouTube series on, or you can point some Facebook ads or something like that. So we're doing both. So we're running virtual classes, and then we're going to try to do roughly 3 a week, where what we're basically trying to recreate is, the best way I could describe it is the movement videos that they do for the open workouts. So it's a brief, it's the demo of each movement, it's like a short little highlight of the movement and stuff like that. So if anybody's interested, go on CrossFit Rife Instagram, and it's from yesterday. Just look at that video. It's about 3 minutes long, right? And I actually hit up Tyson. I was like, hey, give me some feedback on this, because that's Tyson's gym. And just copy that. And none of that is my idea. Like, I stole that from CrossFit, like everybody should. But these are things like that video doesn't say anything about coronavirus. It doesn't say anything about anything other than like, here's a workout. Here's how you would do it. Here's how you would scale it. Some highlights, some mashups in there. And now I can use that forever. And if I'm going to do 3 of those a week, that's 12 for the month. That's an easy 2-week at home kind of program that I can later repurpose some way as a lead capture or as content to bring in new customers.
And I think a lot of people are just slapping workouts up there. if they really want to have an impact, that's what they would do. Like, give me more than just do this. Are you saving all of your classes that you're leading?
Yeah, so we're recording them, and then what we do at the end of each day is I just send out an email that has a link to a Dropbox folder that's listed by day and time.
So even if someone can't make your noon class, they're free at 2. They can, either follow the previous day or just watch
Again,
that day's
thinking about this down the road past just coronavirus. Let's say now if I stock these for a month, now I can send these to people who are travel for 2 weeks. They're like, hey, what do I do? Boom, go in this folder. There's workouts that are already produced for you in there. Like, you can look at all that stuff. There's instructional pieces, there's scaling options, there's all this. So that's my recommendation, is like zoom out a little bit and ask yourself, how would I do this if I was not doing this specifically for coronavirus and I just had a month to produce content to use later? What would I do? And that's what I think people should be doing, because that's what we're doing. And I fully intend on using all of this, because this is all shit that I've been wanting to do for a long time. But anybody who's ever owned a gym knows you don't have 30 days to just do content. Like, that's not a thing. So there is some silver lining here to this whole mess, which is you have a ton of time to produce content. Like, if you were to look in our gym, it literally looks like a production studio in here. Like, we've got these lights in the background. There's cameras everywhere. Like, we moved all the furniture in the gym so that we were literally just sit over here and we're editing videos and doing stuff all day long.
So speaking on that, I think we did a really good job explaining Zoom, covering it. For you guys, a lot of people aren't using the camera, but if people are, they can probably throw in a little bit of coaching cues there. It's probably, like a few of our people have spoken about on the interviews this week, Nicola Coyne mentioned, it's probably going to be more cheerleading than you're used to, but it's still good. So are you throwing out some cheerleading even though you can't see them? And how many of those people of yours are naked, do you think? That's why they don't have the camera on.
At least half. At least half.
What are some other projects you're doing around CrossFit Rife? Boxes are pretty much shut down. Maybe they're throwing up a couple of virtual classes like we discussed, but what are some things that you guys have been, struggling to find the time to get to, and now all of a sudden you can do, other than this production and maybe some cleaning?
Production, cleaning, and then Jess and I were talking about this morning. Like, this is the time to do some maintenance around the gym that you just haven't had time to get to. So I have like one more bathroom to redo. As far as ripping out toilets and sinks, that's going to get done here in the next 2 weeks. We should probably slap a couple new coats of paint on some of the door jambs around here and some of the bathrooms, some like heavy traffic areas. So, walk around and take it. Luckily, like, we keep up on maintenance around here. So I don't have like this ridiculous laundry list of things that need to be fixed. Like, there's nothing that actually makes me more angry than shit being broken. So it gets maintenance at a pretty regular basis. But now is a time where I don't have to worry about heavy traffic in the restrooms. Nobody's shitting in those toilets over there. Like, nobody's going to shit in them for a month. So now is the perfect time to go in there and rip it out and put a new sink in there and make it pretty. And because I'm thinking, my mindset is, okay, if the members know I've been here for a month and they come back and nothing is improved, if I was a customer, my first question would be like, what the hell did you do for a month?
That's a good point. Are you going to put bidets in the bathroom?
Yes.
Are you really?
Yes.
That's awesome. Did you?
I'm telling you, dude. Like, people are going to come back and be like, "We should have coronavirus once a year." Like, you guys did a bunch of shit.
My cousin, who does have coronavirus, or at least he really thinks
literally diagnosed.
Well, he's not diagnosed, but he was a physical therapist in New York City, and his patients were coming in, and he's quarantining himself, and he tried to order a tushy based on my recommendation, and they're like crazy back ordered.
I ordered mine maybe like a week ago, and it was
You
back.
got in.
It said, well, it still said it was back ordered. Well, I still haven't gotten it, but I'll get it here like in the next week, I think.
You're gonna save money on toilet paper.
Well, that's the other thing,
Yeah, I mean, then just comfort. Like, it's so great. I mean, I don't understand how someone doesn't have a bidet.
It's a little weird for some people to think about spraying anything up their ass.
Okay, let me ask you. When you shower.
Speaking of, you're 40. Have you had your first colonoscopy yet?
I'm 40. I'll be 42 soon. I have not. Am I supposed to?
I'm pretty sure when you turn
to do it
40,
like 35.
I'm
was like
nobody
mid-30s.
sticking anything up my ass before I turn 40.
We got
Yeah.
30 days. We can do
I
something.
mean, I don't want to get too personal here, but Roz and I do weird shit, you know? Like, I don't really care. This doesn't, I had a, what's it called? I didn't have a colonoscopy, but I had a colon cleansing like 10 years ago. An ex-girlfriend and I went in and they stick a tube up there and you see like just dirt coming out of your ass. Cleans
It's
you
not
out pretty
dirt.
nice.
It's not dirt, by the
It's
way.
not
Yeah.
dirt. I understand that. But I was going to say, you get in the shower. Let's not be too graphic. You spread the cheeks.
What?
When you shower, do you spread your cheeks?
Do I
to
wash
clean in
my
there?
ass?
Yeah, do you spread your cheeks to get in there?
How else are you going to get in there? Is there another
Exactly.
way?
A bidet is no different. It's a little more of an aggressive stream. If we're talking about like CrossFit, it's high intensity butt cleaning.
Listen, I get it. I'm just saying it frightens some people, you know,
It does.
because it's not like a shower head's different, right? It runs down my back and then goes there. But this
Yeah,
one, this
different
is
angle.
like taking the shower head and literally shoving it up your butt.
Yeah. And then when I get a hotel that has one of those, it's exactly what I do. It's just, nevertheless, let's get back on topic.
So you're doing a weird wall walk in the shower trying to get your butt up to the.
So anything else you'd add? Coaching, Zoom, anything else at the box level for this stuff? And or
I
maybe
think-
best practices for members if a member is listening?
I think you should, well, let's talk box first. I think you should consider what does the frame look like when they're watching it? Meaning when they see this, like what's in frame, what's out of frame, you know, can I do, you know, like we need to switch some of our IG stories into landscape because it like the frame gets real narrow. But there's some little things that you can do. For instance, so the camera on most computers is just a normal like linear camera. You can buy super cheap like add-on.
Wow, that really
fish-
changed what I see. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's a little clip-on fisheye lens that I just put on here, but now it basically doubles the field of view in there at this point. So now I can have multiple coaches or athletes in there if I wanted to. And the same thing, and depending on what iPhone you have, you can do same thing. You can do a wide angle shot in there too. So consider field of view when you do it. Also lighting, you know, if you don't want to get like studio lighting like this, go to Home Depot and buy like those portable lights that you would have in a garage and set those up. Like lighting matters. So just kind of some production value. And I think that is what will help is like, again, showing your members like, hey, we're putting in work over here. Like this is actual production value. We didn't just flip the camera on, run a workout and then turn it off and then go home. You know, like there's a lot of work being done and people can tell the difference. So
Yeah, I think a lot of boxes can learn from that. A lot of boxes did exactly what you did. All right, we're shut down. Everyone's going on Zoom. Here we are, where Nicola Coyne talked about it on the episode we just posted of her, and now you're reiterating. It's like, I think you've added a couple of really good points. A, it should be very, professional looking, and B, solid point of making this something you can use, turn this, bad time into something that potentially down the road can be lucrative financially.
Yeah, or it's just some sort of tool that you can use to leverage to like for new members coming in, or just all that stuff. The other thing it's interesting is like I think people will develop a new skill set here, whether it's your ability to edit video, or I think it was Michael Van Sant who's in our mentor group posted something in there. He's like, hey, my presence and attitude has really had to level up because this is a whole different world. And this is where you and I and Cassidy have a little bit of a leg up, because it's actually not weird for me to get in front of a camera and talk a coach through movement, because we do that on the weekends, where a lot of people have not developed that skill set about kind of pointing out where people should be looking, what they should be focusing on, how they should be doing it, and walking through it, without, sounding like blah, 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 blah. And so if you're doing this and you're putting some effort into it and you're treating this like, hey, this is now my job, I'm a professional, you're going to be a better coach when everybody shows back up.
Yeah, I think what's going to be great about it is it's an opportunity to improve. It's an opportunity. I would say as a coach, if you're watching, the way Fern and Cassidy laid that out is great, but you can also be a second coach. And I would, encourage people to turn on their cameras and really see and correct. Like you could, depending on how in depth you want to be, even if you record it and watch it later, people always ask us, how do we pass our level 3? You have to see movement and you have to be able to watch movement. And this is a great opportunity. Plus, .com launched a great new dumbbell programming. Either of you guys signed up for it yet?
No, not yet. But so again, what to do with your time for anybody that has level 3 credentials? Programming just launched, dumbbell just launched. So use this time to develop some new skills, or at least get those CEUs in there now, because you got time.
Go back and take the lesson planning one for sure. Because when you're probably gonna be rusty when you come back after a month off of not being able to run a class. So you might as well write some workouts. And one thing I'm doing with one of my roommates who's interning for us here at Rife is every day I give him a workout and I say, write a lesson plan for me. And then I'm giving him a new movement. I'm saying, teach me it. And then so like, there's little homework you can do at home. Just, you're probably stuck there with your significant other or roommates or friends or something. Be like, I'm gonna teach you guys how to deadlift, and just take 5 minutes, teach someone how to deadlift, or record yourself doing it and see how you sound. That's the other big thing with recording these is if you think of it, nobody's going to be more critical of yourself, of how you sound, than yourself. Yeah, that's what nobody's going to be more critical of yourself than yourself when you're actually listening to yourself. So just listen to how you sound. And by doing this over time, like, you're going to sound better when you get in front of a class, because you're like, oh, I sound dumb saying it this way, or I'm talking too much, or I'm too loud or quiet, or whatever it might be. And it's no different than when you get into your class. The only difference is you have people watching you through a lens instead of people watching you in person. So like when we're going through and we're doing the teaching of, we're watching the hip sent go back and down, like it's no different, like you said, than the weekends at a seminar, which is when we're doing like an active classroom or something. You're just doing an active classroom to people who can't actually be there physically with you. It's no different.
I think that's great. We always talk about recording yourself. There's no better opportunity than right now.
No better
This is the best time. This is 30 days to practice.
This is one of those things where, I mean, like, this is, for some people, I would venture to say this is a godsend, meaning in a good way, because everybody talks about how they don't have time and they can't figure out when they're going to work on their own skill set. Well, now's the time. Like, if you come out of this and you have not done any of those things, you've blown it. Like, I don't know how else to say it. You got nothing but time on your hands. So get in there, record yourself. If we're talking about the 6 criteria, we have teaching, seeing, and correcting, group management, presence, and attitude, and demonstration. Well, this is a good time to work on your demonstration, number one, because you're going to be doing it via video. It's also a good time to really dial in your teaching, because if I'm doing this live in a recording, I should probably get to the point. You can't be long-winded in the video. Something I figured out yesterday when I was doing some editing, what I found out was incredibly difficult, and I almost text Rory and be like, dude, that's a serious skill set. When they're giving in the open workout brief videos, when they have a video of the movement and the person is talking over, it's either Boz or Sean Woodland or somebody like that. That's hard. That's really hard. I was doing it yesterday and I was losing my mind, because you have to figure out, there's an exact number of words that you can use in order to voice over a video. So it's just like,
right? You're limited on time.
Yeah, weird stuff like that, which is like, do I talk too much when I'm coaching or when I'm explaining something? So all these little things you start to uncover, you're like, oh, that I don't know if that's going to be useful, but like, it's definitely good practice.
Cool. All right. Well, Fern and I have to hop on another podcast, so we're going to wrap this one up. And I think we did a great job laying out what box owners, coaches, and even members can do in order to be more productive during this quarantine. With the uncertainty of how long it's going to last, your fitness and your health needs to maintain, or be a priority in your life. And this is a great opportunity to do that.
And in the next couple of days, actually, I'm recording it this afternoon, Justin Ross from Monkey Real Media is going to come on, and he's going to talk about actual production value. So we're going to pair this with actually how to do it with regard to like what kind of equipment you should use, all that stuff, and how it should go down. So next couple of days, that'll be up. So go ahead and take a listen to that as well.
Sounds good. Thanks for coming on, Cassidy.
Thanks for having me.
Go stock up just in case, all the stores close.
I stocked up beforehand.
Yeah, you and I are smart. Give Fern some. Fern's actually a little bit of fun. So, I'll let you go. All right, guys. Talk to you later.
All right. See ya.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Come on, who doesn't have Spotify at this point? And if you were unaware, Spotify now is offering podcasts. That's right. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists, but also podcasts in one place for free. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now, Best Hour of Their Day. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can even download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, something I always do before I hop on a plane. And you can even easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram and other social media platforms. Here's the deal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app, search for Best Hour of Their Day on Spotify, or browse some other podcasts if you want. You can find them in your library tab. And also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day, and thanks again to our special guest. We appreciate all you guys do for us with Best Hour of Their Day when it comes to sharing our posts on Instagram, when it comes to subscribing to us on YouTube, when it comes to the constant feedback. We are grateful and we appreciate it. We are trying to build a community based on coaching development and becoming the best version of yourself. And it goes without saying that we couldn't do without all of you. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Season 1 of Dropping In is out. We are getting tremendous feedback and we'd love for you to check it out. Leave us a comment on there. Head over to our Instagram. Give us a follow. Like our pictures. Feel free to share anything that resonates with you. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback for us, please don't hesitate. Email us, besthouroftheirday@gmail.com. Thanks again. Until the next episode, we hope you've had the best hour of your day.